Today, we are going to work the worst time of year as a cab driver.
I've not had a job since... Well, I can't remember.
It is kipper season. Let's get started. Now, I take my usual route into town. My dream here is to at least get some sort of job to get me into town. This can seriously make or break a shift because you're just driving in anyway. The longer I go without the job, well, the longer I go without earning money. With nothing so far in Hampstead and in the high street, I'm really pushing my luck going into Camden. But despite how clear the streets look, I astonishingly get a hand right near the Camden stables. Yes. These people are after the travel lodge on Drury Lane. Now with Camden, the hardest bit is kind of getting yourself out of the one-way system. So here, we can go down Chalk Farm Road, Castle Haven Road going past the Hawley Arms, bear right into Hawley Road and go down Camden Street. The way I see of setting this is I basically need to get Parker Street off of the Kingsway, and to get that I just need Eversholt Street because that will set me up perfectly straight. We come down Camden Street, Oakley Square and left into Eversholt Street. This takes you past Euston Station, Upper Woburn Place, forward into Tavistock Square, forward Woburn Place, forward Russell Square, that forwards into Southampton Row. And once we get onto the Kingsway, I can get my right into Parker Street. This just cuts off the lights if I wanted to go onto Great Queen Street, get a right into Drury Lane and set them neatly there. One of the good things about Kipper is that the traffic is exceptionally light.
Now that might have saved my bacon. That is the kind of luck you need in kipper season. Even before Christmas, it was still hit or miss whether I'd even get anything out of there. Maybe like 1 in 4 times I'd drive through there, I'd get something. Had I not picked up there at the Camden stables, I've pretty much got to then hit the stations. You know, as I came past Euston, that was completely full. Had I not got that job at the stables, I would have had to drive like another 10 minutes to get to Euston. I'd still be at that rank now, whereas I've actually done the job and got off, and that's kind of what it's about. I got a bit lucky yesterday. I mean, I did like 40 minutes on King's Cross before getting a job that went to Hammersmith. Lady just wanted Hammersmith Bridge because she was going to walk over the bridge into Barnes. But on the way there, once I got there, she goes, you know what, I'm feeling like treating myself today. Can you drive me all the way around to Barnes? Which was a touch because I then just fly over Chiswick Bridge and in and drop her there. So that bumped up that quite nicely. To be honest, as long as you come out and work the hours, it's not that bad. Like, a better way of looking at it is that January, you need 4 days to make what you'd have made in 3 days in December. Across the year, it doesn't really matter. It all evens out anyway. It's just more if you're really expecting money in January. Just come out, go for a drive. It might be quiet and you'll just get through it. Just do your hours and just take what you're going to take. It's 3:20 now. Let's see how long it takes for me to get my next job.
Now, this is the bit that I'm not looking forward to. The hunt on the streets. What is central London looking like? Well, I think you can come to your own conclusion here. January, February is kipper season for a few reasons. First off, there's just generally less stuff going on in London. There's less events, less kind of buzz about it. There's not a Christmas kind of atmosphere going on. There's less work events going on. There's less, I guess, conferences and exhibitions going on. So there's less work demand in town. And also, your average everyday Londoner or people that come and work here are just spent out from Christmas. So there's less money for extravagances such as a London taxi. How long will I be driving for before I get my next job? I'm thinking I'm going to head to the Iron Lung area. What I usually do to distract myself on these slow days is I just think about going on a very long drive somewhere. If I just focus on the streets and the people in front of me, it is incredibly frustrating because you're kind of expecting something out of nothing. And works perfectly in this scenario because as I exit off King Charles I Island, the roundabout just south of Trafalgar Square, I get hailed here on Whitehall by a lovely American couple. They wish to go to John Lewis. Easy. From here, we just got to spin it round on Whitehall, go back through King Charles I Island, but up Cockspur Street, bear left into Pall Mall, and I'm going to get a right into Waterloo Place, where that becomes Regent Street, St James's. Work our way up Regent Street and then get a left into Maddox Street. From here, get a right into St George Street, go around Hanover Square, forward into Harewood Place, and forward into Holles Street. I just like to drop people who wish to go to John Lewis on this little corner bit here. Carrying on from here, I can head to the kind of medical district of Harley Street, which is just what I go and do. I find this gentleman up near Devonshire Place. This gentleman is just after St James's Street, a nice fun route back in. So, spin ourselves around by getting a left into New Cavendish Street and a left into Welbeck Street. We're already in the correct direction here. But because traffic's light, I follow it all the way down Welbeck Street and get a left into Henrietta Place to do a right into Vere Street. Now, annoyingly, these lights at Vere Street take a little bit of time. Normally, there's actually 2 lanes of traffic here. Eventually, we get through and I go along New Bond Street. I just ride it all the way down. Get ourselves a right into Bruton Street, around Berkeley Square, leave that by Berkeley Street, left onto Piccadilly, and a right on St James's Street.
And it would appear my little hypothesis paid off, which was go to the Harley Street, Wimpole Street kind of area. It's a one-way street, meaning that you're kind of always going to be the lead cab. There's no chance of a cab overtaking you. Just go nice and slow, and sometimes you can get someone coming out the building. That worked well. But there's only one predicament to working in kipper season. When it's busy in the taxi, I don't want to stop working because it's busy, I want to fill my boots. But when it's quiet, I also don't want to stop working because there's this kind of pressure, this urge that I need to find the work. And if I stop, then I'm going to miss out on those opportunities. So when I want to have a bit of a break, a bit of a downtime, lunch, that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in, the legendary Y-Food. I've got classic choco or fudge brownie flavour. Between these two, fudge brownie is a much more richer chocolate flavour. Y-Food are delicious, ready to drink meals in a bottle. There's 500 calories inside of one of these bottles, but importantly, a good amount of protein. 34 grams. I can very quickly pull over to the side of the road, guzzle one of these and get straight back to work. That's why they're always in my work bag whenever I leave the house. 26 vitamins and minerals inside of every bottle. Go check out their huge range of flavours. I'll leave the link in the description down below. And by using that link or my discount code, which is taxi-YouTube, you'll get 10% off site-wide. So if you want to manage your nutrition a little bit better in 2025, Y-Food are going to be the game changer for you. Huge range of flavours, you can take them with you wherever you go. I like to have my fridge stocked up or just in my work bag because you never know what life might hold. So, cheers to Y-Food, and now let's get back to work. I'm just checking the WhatsApp groups and it's just cab ranks are just overfilled with cabs. Sloane Square, 7 cabs, Camden 1, Fortnum & Mason's 2, RAC, that's the RAC club behind us, there's 2 people there. But I don't know, let's get back to it. Just got to do my hours, that's 3 jobs down. How many more can we do?
In quieter times like kipper, I know that no matter what luck I'm having, sometimes the work can just abruptly drop off.
I think I'm going to sit on the RAC.
And you say to yourself, man, I wish I just sat on a taxi rank because that would have been much better than driving around for an hour empty. The best time to join a taxi rank is as soon as you have dropped off. I joined the RAC. I sit on the rank here for about 5 minutes and I have a lady who wishes to go to the Zimbabwe embassy. This is probably going to be my shortest run of the day. So I've just got to get ourselves eastbound. So we do a little U-turn here on Pall Mall, work our way along Pall Mall and into Pall Mall East. I actually take the left into Whitcomb Street to get ourselves a right into Orange Street. This will neatly cut out a few lights, and at this time of year, it's more than likely to be very quiet. Right into Charing Cross Road, and rather than going directly onto the street, I'm thinking of actually directly dropping to the door. Again, we can skip out a few traffic lights here. St Martin's Place, left William IV Street, and drop there, Agar Street. I distract myself with another drive to the Iron Lung and manage to nab this job en route. Just outside of Parliament here, this lady is after the Sondheim Theatre on Shaftesbury Avenue. So we spin ourselves back round, we go through Parliament Square, and as I'm trundling up Parliament Street and into Whitehall, I've got an instant decision here. Do I either go west or left of Leicester Square, or do I take the east route? Now, truth be told, both of these routes are going to be exactly the same. I would argue that going west of Leicester Square and up Regent Street, St James's, is probably going to have a few more traffic lights on it, but probably clearer than going up Charing Cross Road. I do just that, get to Piccadilly Circus, into Shaftesbury Avenue, and we can set down on left at the Sondheim. Coming this way means I haven't got to do a U-turn onto the front door either. You might notice that all these jobs are so quick and so light in terms of traffic. It took me just 9 minutes to complete that job. I'm thinking I'm going to have a little hunt in Covent Garden. I've not really driven in the kind of Covent Garden piazza-y kind of area. Best place I can get to is here on Bedford Street. It's a great job for me. It's got a bit more distance to it. These people are just after the landmark hotel, Marylebone. I know as soon as they get in, I've just got to whiz it up to the Marylebone Road in the best way possible. So spin it back round, go through that little junction of Covent Garden and out onto Cranbourne Street by Aberdeen Angus Steakhouse. Right into Charing Cross Road, and it is quite light here. I've got to do a left into Shaftesbury Avenue, and I'm going to take Wardour Street. All the way up Wardour Street, a little bit heavier near the top, but we eventually get our forward into Berners Street. Berners Street, I'm going to get a left into Mortimer Street and a right into Nassau Street. This is my little Fitzrovia shuffle that I can use to get me out near Great Portland Street station. But as I take my left into Riding House Street, I can see that the junction of Riding House Street and Great Titchfield Street is shut. So I've got to wiggle around a bit more. Taking Candor Street, right Foley Street and left Ogle Street, which sets you up for New Cavendish Street. There I can pick up the line I was going to go onto anyway, right Bolsover Street and into that bottom bit of Great Portland Street. Eventually getting ourselves up onto the Marylebone Road. It's a straight run out. Get yourselves over a few lanes before you can get your right turn into Balcombe Street, left into Melcombe Place and set down for the hotel on the left. I can see there's more than enough cabs at the station. This job just taking over 20 minutes. I have a wiggle through the Marylebone High Street area, but there's not too much activity there. Luckily, right on the corner of Fayette Street and Bentinck Street, I have this gent who wishes to go to the UCLH hospital. The entrance he wants is up on the Euston Road by the Euston Overpass area. It makes sense to just kind of get ourselves up onto the quick road as quick as possible. So from where we are, I get the left into Bentinck Street, right into Welbeck Street and left Welbeck Way, left into Wimpole Street, forward Upper Wimpole Street and forward Devonshire Place, getting a right onto the Euston Road. Now we've got to peel off on this slip road here because we're going to go over this little kind of bridge, I guess, that goes over the Euston Overpass, and we can drop in this set down here. It is marked out for ambulances, but there is a sign that says you can set down for 2 minutes max, so that works perfectly for us. As I'm pointing in that area, I head back down Great Portland Street and just stop off briefly in Sainsbury's to grab a bottle of water.
That can be the more tedious thing about kipper season. You don't know. it's the not knowing that sucks. When I dropped off at the landmark, I could see there was about 8 or 9 cabs at Marylebone station. Now Marylebone is a bit of a slower station. I think I did manage to get a job quicker off the streets, and you might drive up to like an hour on the streets and you think, oh, should have joined the rank when I had the opportunity. And to be fair, driving round has worked very well for me today, so that dead kind of afternoon time has been okay. Totals wise, we're up to 7 jobs. 7 jobs have been up for about 5 hours, so.
I do have to go on a bit of a hunt, but on Park Lane, I have a very nice job that's going to take me up into the Primrose Hill, Hampstead area. This lady is just after Belsize Park Gardens, just off of England's Lane. So to get it, I've got to spin ourselves in the northward direction. Take my first left, which is South Street, followed by another left into Park Street. Now Park Street just runs all up into Gloucester Place, and that's going to ping you up by Regent's Park. Regent's Park is kind of a good mental area to head to in this kind of Primrose Hill sort of job. All I've got to decide is, am I going to be going in the Swiss Cottage direction, or am I going to come in via Primrose Hill? And I'm going to go up Park Road. This takes us just around the outside of Regent's Park, and at the top here at the roundabout, I'm going to go in via Prince Albert Road, left into Albert Terrace, and that's going to get us a left into Regent's Park Road, just going around Primrose Hill here, left into Primrose Hill Road and forward over Adelaide Road. And rather than bearing around right into England's Lane, we're just going to take the left here into Belsize Park Gardens. Nice. My dream whilst I'm up here is that an app job is going to go off. Even during like the height of Christmas, it's very difficult, very rare in fact, that someone's just going to stick a hand up on the street. So I'm going to head in the direction of Euston/King's Cross. Because as we've learnt in a previous video, Euston is pretty difficult for cabbies to get to, meaning there could be an opportunity if there's a lot of passengers there. And maybe en route I can pick up at Camden. And astonishingly, that is what happened.
Oh, yes. No way.
And it's a pretty good job. These people want to go from the Camden stables to Primark at Marble Arch. It's a bit of a weird start, but the hardest thing really is getting onto like a workable line. Gonna go down Camden Street, but this time I'm gonna get right into Pratt Street. Where I want to get to is actually Regent's Park, specifically the outer circle. So we go over Pratt Street, that forwards over Camden High Street into Delancey Street, and we can get a little left into Parkway, through Gloucester Gate and into the outer circle. Go forward into Park Square East, and that sets us up for Park Crescent. The thing that's actually a bit more difficult during quiet times like this, without much traffic, is that it can be really difficult to work out what the best route is. On a route like this with about 4 or 5 different options, you can't deduce them easily because they might all have equal merit, and the only way of knowing which is quicker might be to count the traffic lights, might be to know physically which is the shortest route. This one I am using a little bit of help with Google because it is quite straight roads out onto George Street via Marylebone High Street. You can see it on the map, it's quite 90-degree angles, so long as the traffic lights flow well, it will be a quick route. We got our left onto Baker Street, and I cut out a few more traffic lights by using Portman Close. Left Gloucester Place, forward Portman Square, and I just dropped them on Portman Street. It's just after 6:30 at this point. I'm gonna go on a bit more of a distracting drive, heading towards the Iron Lung. Briefly stopping there, going to the toilet and putting some charge in the cab. Now, this is where the job gets lonely. As I leave the Iron Lung, there's a notification on one of my WhatsApp groups that there's about 10 jobs at Victoria, no cabs. And I'm thinking, I'm not gonna go to Victoria. I'm just going to drive around for a bit. What a mistake that was. I'm feeling lucky as I drive past the Taj because there's no cabs on the feeder rank, but one cab outside. And a hand does go up as I'm approaching, but I have to let the gentleman know that there is actually a cab waiting for him down the street.
You see there's a taxi down there. You see there's a taxi down there? There's a taxi down there.
You can even see the driver flashing their lights at me to say, "Oi, Tom, don't nick my job." And I go everywhere. Shaftesbury Avenue, Covent Garden, Oxford Street, Park Lane, and you begin to doubt yourself. You think, am I driving in the correct areas? Is my light even on? I even have to pull over and rationalise with myself.
I've not had a job since, well, I can't remember. Basically, when I pulled over to go to, obviously, the Iron Lung, go use the toilets and charge up, and that was an hour ago I left there. And you think, an hour, like, this is my 7th kipper season now. I know how this works. I've been driving a cab long enough. I know where to go. I know what to do. Should I have gone to that rank? Should I have joined the Taj? Should I have joined the Conrad when there was no cabs there? You think about all the places you've been, all the ranks you've driven past. I might as well just sat down and done nothing for an hour. That is the worst bit about this job, is when you're trying, you're driving, you're concentrating, you're looking, you're making sure other cab drivers aren't overtaking you or like nicking your job, and for the last hour, nothing. Oh my God. But you just have to remain stoical and calm. No one cares that you haven't had a job for that long. It's 8:15, so it could be like another hour before I get another job. I don't know, it could be really bad. Hopefully something soon.
And this is a Friday night in London, by the way. A big capital city. And I finally pick up this job on Berkeley Square.
Oh, thank finally. Hurrah.
It's only a short one. It's going over to Cadogan Gardens. But I can finally breathe again. And when you see that hand go up, it just, all the stress, the tension, and the fact you was even holding your breath just evaporates out of you. It's so freeing, even if it is only a short-ish job. So to get to Cadogan Gardens, get a right into Piccadilly, and we're set up perfectly for the underpass to get into Knightsbridge. Because traffic's light, I know I can just do Knightsbridge, left down Sloane Street. You can see that that's open both directions now, and then get a right into Cadogan Gardens on the lower half of Sloane Street.
That's what I mean. All reset for £12.60. Little job like that, but at the end of the day, that is what it is. You want bread and butter jobs like that. It's just sad it took me an hour to get to that point. Yeah, so I'm hoping if it's 8:30 now, I mean, it's going to be a bit ambitious, but maybe if we can get through to 9 o'clock, nothing is guaranteed. I remember a cab driver saying that to me years ago. I was about to say then, okay, 10 o'clock, West End, I'll pick up a job at the West End. But this is Friday, by the way. Friday. I know that Thursdays are supposed to be a bit more popular than Fridays, but can you imagine, this is a major capital city, and I've had it before where you're hunting around in the West End, right by the theatres. You can see all the people piling out the theatres, and some cabs are picking up, some aren't, and you're just driving around and no one hails you down. It does happen, and you just think, am I doing something really wrong? It's 10 o'clock on a Friday night. So hopefully that doesn't happen tonight. We shall see. I'm going to have a little sniff about on the King's Road before getting my way back to Piccadilly. And I would like to go to the toilet at some point, so you got to factor that in to my calculations as well.
I get an app job ping up on my phone.
Haha, yes. Pick up is Ovington Street.
And I can see it's going straight back into Mayfair. And I'm thinking, wow, I've just wasted 2 hours of my life not having a job on. I'm going to take that app job.
Well, that's going to go straight back to Carlos Place, which is going to get me into Mayfair. Lovely.
All of a sudden, the commission that these app jobs charge will pale in insignificance for how quiet the streets can be. And even though I turn up in good time, I still have to wait outside for about 5 minutes for the passenger to come out. But anything to get a guaranteed job. They're just going over to the Connaught. So from here, from Overton Street, going to get right onto Walton Street, right Pont Street, around Belgrave Square, into Grosvenor Crescent, round Hyde Park Corner, up Park Lane, and I'm going to exit off Deanery Street, get a left into South Audley Street, and right onto Mount Street. I normally would hate driving along Mount Street because it's so narrow, but it's quite quiet in town. I manage it first time, left into the Connaught, drop there. There are cabs on the rank here, so that's my next option out. Let's go for a little drive. About 25 minutes later, and coming down Whitehall, I see that there's kind of like some wedding guests hanging out of that new hotel on the east side. There's not a taxi rank outside, and every now and again you'll just see a concierge just come and hail a taxi from across the street. I'm going to just stay in this perimeter here, and as I go back northbound, lo and behold, concierge hails me. Touch. And the job I get is awesome as well, because they wish to go to Elgin Crescent. I normally get this a little bit confused with kind of the Maida Vale area, because you've got Elgin Avenue. From here, I know I've just got to get myself up to that Notting Hill Gate area. So, I'm just going to flow it along as smooth as possible, along Pall Mall, and I'm going to get a right into St James's Street. What I'm going to do, because I know that the traffic is so incredibly light, I can just run it the shortest route possible with the least amount of traffic lights. Straight through Piccadilly Underpass, out the other side and into Knightsbridge, bearing right to go forward into Kensington Road. Forward into Kensington Gore, forward Kensington Road, just going past the Royal Albert Hall. Forward into that little bit of Kensington High Street and get a right into Kensington Church Street. Left into Notting Hill Gate, and we're going to get a right into Pembridge Road. Go along Kensington Park Road and I get ourselves a left into Ladbroke Gardens, get right into Ladbroke Grove and left into Lansdowne Road. As I drop off, they actually congratulate me on how speedy that ride was. But I'm quick to let them know that it really is just the luck of London. For every time I've had a good and successful journey somewhere, of course, I'll have had a slow one as well.
Luck at the end of the day. My take-ins seem a little bit healthier for this time of night. And I know for everyone, circumstances are different. Like, I'm not out here as regularly as I was when I first got my badge because of obviously doing the YouTube. It's a luxury that's kind of come to me now because of the fact I've paid off this cab. But some people, if they've got families and that, they might only be able to do 5 days a week. But such is the nature of being self-employed, that you're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times, and ideally you want to have a bit of a buffer to get you through. because you never know what could be around the corner. You always need to have a little bit in your back pocket, just in case you fall ill, if the cab breaks down, if, you know, an emergency happens in your family. And also, that's one of the greatest things about being a cab driver. You're self-employed. You get to do what you want. So if you're at the mercy of the cab, if you're a leather ass, then you never really get to experience the full freedom of the job, of being able to take days off when you want, because you're at the mercy of having to earn money. Yeah, it can be a brutal game. But January, we'll get through it. Now, I'm going to get back into town and some money.
I'm feeling good being in this part of town at this time of night because Cirque du Soleil is on at the Royal Albert Hall and it finishes a little bit earlier than most other stuff. I'm feeling a little bit confident. My mode of approach is to come in from Prince Consort Road, and I get hailed down on the way there. But
Huh?
Nadia?
No, put your hand up.
Sorry.
this lady's actually got a pre-booked taxi. If I was pre-booked, I would have turned my light off. She can check the number plate as well, but I feel optimistic I might be able to get someone around the front of the Royal Albert Hall. There's no taxis ranking up here, and I see this hand go up on the opposite side of the street. Nice. They're just after the Treehouse Hotel. My head's going through a little bit of a spin here because I'm thinking I could get us into the park to bring us out, you know, Bayswater Road, Marble Archie kind of direction. Or, and knowing that the traffic's light, I'm just going to reverse what I've been doing most of this evening. Kensington Road forward into Knightsbridge, and I'm going to go not into the Piccadilly underpass. I'm going to take the left onto the Hyde Park Corner slip road, up Park Lane. Going to go all the way up Park Lane, and I'm going to come in via Brook Gate, forward into Upper Brook Street and over into Grosvenor Square. Going to take that left into Duke Street, which is going to bring us up by Selfridges. What I'm thinking here is I want to get to Wigmore Street, forward into Cavendish Square, and forward into Cavendish Place. Left into Regent Street, and then yeah, I can just set them down on the right there. As it's that 10 o'clock time, it would make sense to go to the West End. So down to Shaftesbury Avenue, where I nab this job, very close to where I dropped off earlier. They wish to go to the Apex Hotel, specifically the one on Temple Court, which is just off of Fleet Street. Easy enough job this, just get right into Charing Cross Road, left Lichfield Street, right West Street to get into Upper St Martin's Lane, leave that left into Garrick Street, forward into Bedford Street and work our way left onto the Strand. Over the Aldwych, continuation of the Strand and forward into Fleet Street. Just go over those lights by the bottom of Fetter Lane there, and the Apex Temple Court is on the south side there. I'm heading back to the West End. I'm hoping I can get another job out of there. Nothing from along the Strand, but I get this lady who awkwardly hails me just outside of the Institute of Directors on Pall Mall. Now, after getting her away from the live side of the taxi and onto the curb side,
Come around this side, come around this side, come around this side.
she then lets me know that she's got to pick up her sons a bit further down. So I said, not a problem, we'll just get over there and I'll pick them up safely. They are after Gloucester Terrace, just off the Bayswater Road and up in that Paddington direction. I just want to get to like near Lancaster Gate Station basically, so Bayswater Road, Park Lane. Quickest way I think of doing this, right St James's Street and left onto Piccadilly. I'm going to take a right onto Half Moon Street and just come cruising along Curzon Street. The thought here is I can just peel left from Curzon Street out into Park Lane, around Curzon Gate and up Park Lane. As we've seen throughout this whole shift, traffic is absolutely light everywhere. We buzz it up Park Lane, left around Marble Arch and along Bayswater Road, around Lancaster Gate and get ourselves into Gloucester Terrace. She just wants to be dropped on this corner bit of Chilworth Street and Gloucester Terrace. Time now is nearly 11 o'clock. I feel far enough north and I really can't be bothered to go back into Central because it's more than likely going to die off at this time of night. 15 jobs, it's not exactly the shift of the century, but it is nice to go out and earn something in the taxi, especially at this time of year. If you want to see somewhere else that I can work in London, which is a little bit of its own beast, you might like this video here where I work at Heathrow Airport. How does the Heathrow Airport taxi system work? Well, you'll learn a lot more about it in this week-long shift over here.